start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to recognize any resident or taxpayer of the Sarah Area School District wishing to address the board about title programming or any other matter or concern or interest properly raised in public session.
You know I'm here for.
How are you, Mrs. Shevardini?
I'm good. Tammy Shevardini, 101 North Hopkins Street. So I just have a one related to the agenda and one not. So first question is regarding the facilities assessment. Has there been any update on that? Anything that's included in the budget for next year regarding, any of those items? Do you have any update on that? And then secondly, my next question is regarding the transfer of positions. So I guess my first question is exactly what is this new position of Director of Student Academic Affairs? Was it advertised? Who does it report to? Is that to Jill? And then are these positions for both of the individuals? Are they promotions, laterals, or what? If you could give the public some background of what the reasons are.
Sure. So the facility study is something that the Building and Grounds Committee is taking hold of, and they meet on a regular basis. They met in May, went through all of the list of items. That meeting is open to the public, and anyone can attend those facilities meetings. It's called Building and Grounds on our calendar that we have available. Mr. Trump, can you not hear back there? Am I not loud enough? Okay, so they met in May and they took the facility study that we received and they started to prioritize items and they're starting to work through those. They took comments from people that were there. Mr. Bunker, Mr. Claypool, Mr. Hickey lead that team as a group of 3, and so they're working through those pieces over the next several years. Mr. Hickey, is there anything you want to add to that from the meeting in May?
No, it's pretty much it. There are some things that were on there, but just repairs because they're waiting for money that comes in from the ESSER's money for some of that. So, and they have to be bid. So we couldn't really do anything this year because of the lateness of it. You have to bid it, and then they would do it next summer. Anything we're going to do on it.
So some of the small ones will be taken care of, and then they'll do RFPs at the board level, so other companies can bid those. Is that correct? For over a certain amount of money.
Right.
So the Act 93 is not a contract, it's an agreement with members of the Act 93 group. So your second question is about middle management. The middle management team is made up of our building principals, our director of student services, our learning loss facilitator, our curriculum specialist, and I can transfer within that Act 93 group, make that request to the board, and they can or cannot approve those if they'd like to. It's not a position that has to be advertised under a contract because it's an agreement, so that's different than a contract. Okay.
So this one position was.
So the one position that you see that sounds new, the Director of Student Services and Student and Academic Services and Affairs has a /LLF. So we currently have a learning loss facilitator position there. And so we're making an adjustment within Act 93, and so there'll be additional rules and responsibilities that fall under that directorship.
Anything else, Mrs. Shevardini? Anyone else? Moving forward with consent agenda. Recommend the board approve sections 1, the minutes, and sections 2, operations, including instruction, Title I transportation plan, athletics, finance, then personnel, we got a motion and a second. Any questions?
Yeah, I had a couple. So, first of all, are we including the code book updates or in this vote?
Is that under?
Policy, yeah. Is policy included in there?
Yeah, I saw the personnel, but I thought there were,
Yeah, so it's not written on the agenda, so no, they'll be held.
Okay. Yeah, I guess this is a little different than the one I was looking at earlier. But, and then my other question was for the transportation agreement. I was just wondering how many approximately students does this cover?
Yeah, so at the current time it is, go ahead, Mrs.
No, I was
Powell. You
gonna say, if
oversee
you-
Title
if you-
I
right.
services, so go ahead.
So this is part of an assurance that we need to attest to every year as part of federal programs. In the past, I've contacted Children and Youth Services, Mr. Claypool, and we just had a discussion that they will work with us to provide services if indeed there are any foster care children. Since we haven't had any, they haven't signed an official agreement because they didn't see the need to. However, in my audit, I need to have a paper trail with an official copy. So at this time, there are no children that are in the district that need to be transported. That's just a formality to make sure we're covered for audit purposes.
I saw it was pretty written open-ended, so I was wondering, I mean, if we don't have anyone, obviously, but I want to make sure it wasn't a large population we were leaving open-ended there.
No, and if we do, I obviously will go back with transportation, Dr. Delosio, Mr. Claypool, and Deb Sharp down to CYS to refine those, and before any adjustments or costs are made, I'll obviously speak with Dr. Delosio, transportation, and Mr. Claypool to make sure that it's all covered. That was just a formality that it needed to be written on paper to make sure, not just to check a box, but to show that, you know, we do have conversation, consultation, we all work together, so it's just one final piece that closes that gap.
I'd also say that we have to have this plan in place in the event that a student from our district or another student resides here and wants to attend, that we have an agreement in place for transportation. Could happen at any given moment, unfortunately. Yeah. Thank you.
I have a question as well. On number 12 for the contract agreement for ESS Northeast LLC.
Yes.
I know we don't have a lot of options. I know what the situation is with substitutes. How have they been this year overall for us as far as like filling positions? Have they been? Is it an improvement from the previous?
So what my response would be, my first year here, at the end of the year, we were all very disappointed in their fill rate and what was happening, and that was pre-pandemic, pre-March 20. But then the following year, they worked through things with COVID. They took care of some new management. Danelle is our point of contact in both buildings. She does a great job, as much as she can, right? So it's more than just substitutes, as it is a lack of those that are certificated that are out there, you know, looking for jobs and wanting to substitute and all those different components. So what I would say is they've been more responsive in the last 2 years than they were my first year. So when they originally asked for just a 1-year extension, because that's what we have been doing for the past 2 years. And so Barry and I talked about the rates that have been filled and the response time and the events that they're holding locally, coming on site to try to get more employees on within their company. And so they offered us a 3-year, and the first 2 year holding at 0, no adjustment. So, and the second one I think was 0.5%. I don't know, Sean, if you remember, that contract just came in. But the first 2 years I know are a 0 increase to us as a district, so we thought we'd go with the 3-year when they came back with that to us. Okay?
Very good. Thank you.
Sure.
does anyone have any other questions? So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
So that's under coaches, number 4.
So with that, motion carries. Finance, Mr. Hickey. Any discussion? Roll call.
Yes, except I abstained on number one. Ms. Alsing?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Hickey?
Yes.
Ms. Riley?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Petrini?
Yes. Thank you very much. So upcoming committee meetings, we have an athletics and recreation meeting at 6:30 at the junior and senior high school library. On August 8th at 6:30 in the building and grounds, at 7:30 in the administrative conference room, August 8th. And August 9th, there's a technology meeting at 5:30 in the administrative conference room. And after that, there's curriculum and instruction at 6:30 and community relations at 7:30. Any questions about the committee meetings? Moving on to reports, athletics and recreations, Mr. Shaw?
I don't have a report, Mr. Petrini, other than we're sending the co-op for that for boys and girls cross country. That's already been addressed. That would be my only comment.
Thank you very much.
And as we already talked about, the hiring coaches tonight.
Right. Thank you very much, sir. Buildings and grounds, Mr. Hickey?
Nope, we're just working on all the summer projects we have. Get an update on the 8th.
Thank you very much. Community relations, Ms. Kometz isn't here. Mr. Cole, do you have anything for?
No, not right off the, not right now.
All right. Curriculum and instruction, Mrs. Agnew? Anything for finance?
We'll have to do a seven when anybody else is roll call. Yes.
It's supposed to be on. It's supposed to be on.
So I can't make a, so I would, as from administration, need to make a recommendation to the board that we amend the current agenda as it reads. For budget.
Are we missing a page?
I wonder, because, we have,
We have a policy.
we have policies on there too.
Missing quite a bit. Yeah.
Sorry about this, folks.
Got it?
Did you print one?
Between these two?
So I do have it here on my phone. So after finance, we had transfers and the treasurer's report. Then we had the tax report and the tax levies, and then the 2022-2023 final budget. Listed on there, annual administration, or annual authorization to take action in special circumstances. Year to end for Mr. Claypool, an agreement to approve IDEA agreement project.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Oh, it's stopped, so yeah, page 2. And then it goes to the memorandum of understanding. So we're missing page 3 of the current.
So it is on
Page
there.
5, we're missing the policy.
So it's in this one. The page.
And then page 5, the policies, yep. That all came up with summer recreation.
That one is.
Right after the mentor, we're missing the summer school instructors, the last chance agreement with employee 1382, summer employment, summer recreation employment. So it was on the agenda that was printed online, but,
And sent out.
and sent out, but not the one we have in front of us. So we'll take that photocopy machine
It's going out.
and use that as a boat anchor and
So Madam, we're gonna replace that copier one. This is like the 4th time this year. So you want to just, let's
So-
go back and do your
so-
consent agenda?
Yeah.
Yeah.
so, yeah, we'll do that.
Say again?
No, I think I just answered my question. Here's that.
You're still missing a page.
Yeah, we're supposed to have, so there's
Still
this
missing a
one,
page.
and then there's page 5.
Does it go?
Sorry.
Thank you, Mrs. Morale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, page
Yep, thank you. Yeah.
Have that one.
I think that one too. Okay, thanks.
I can. One of those things where you can read
Yeah, there's quite a bit.
All right, so let's try this again. We're gonna have recommend the board have a consent agenda on section 1, the minutes, section 2, operations to include instruction, title 1, transportation, athletics, including the rescinding of the co-op with Athens, approval of coaches, recommend volunteers, finance to include transfers, the treasurer's report, the tax report, tax levies, the 2022-2023 final budget, the annual authorization to take action in special circumstances. A year to end, recommend Mr. Claypool to be authorized to make any necessary year-to-end budget transfers, and an agreement between the board, or between Sarah School District and the IDEA agreement project between Sarah School District and Bradford, Lycoming, Sullivan, and Tioga Intermediate Unit, or BLAST. A memorandum of understanding between the school district and Unified Champion Schools, agreement, Comprehensive Non-Bargaining Unit Compensation Act 93 agreement, contract agreement between the board and ESS, solicitor fee arrangement, personnel, including transfers of employees within Act 93, mentors, the school, or the summer school instructor, the last chance agreement with employee 1382, summer employment, summer recreation employment, policies, including controlled substance and paraphernalia and non-school organizations, groups, individuals. So that's a recommendation.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on all that?
Yeah, question, Pete. Should we roll call the tax levy in the final budget?
We'll roll call the whole thing, 'cause, yeah, I think we have to roll call.
Okay.
For the policy, from what I read, it looked like the controlled substances didn't include tobacco at all. Is that intentional?
Yeah, there's a separate policy on nicotine.
Okay, so it is covered.
Yes.
Any other questions? Mr. Shaw, any questions?
No question, just I have to abstain.
Okay, thank you. All right, so with that, can we get a roll call?
Sure. We'll begin with Mrs. Agnew.
Yes.
Mrs. Olson.
Yes.
Mr. Cole.
Yes.
Mr. Hickey.
Yes.
Ms. Riley.
Yes.
Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
Mr. Katrina.
Yes.
Mr. Shaw did verbalize his abstaining.
Yes.
I got that for, just want to make sure you have that down. Thanks.
All right. So motion carries. Thank you very much, Mr. Madigan and Mr. Claypool, for all your hard work with the budget. You guys did a great job. Thank you. So with that, we'll go back to, so finance is good, upcoming committee meetings are good. Committee reports, anything else from finance, Mr. Hickey?
So had to get the budget in, so we're gonna have to have another meeting this tomorrow.
Good call.
I'd give you a PBS ticket if I had one for you.
I'll take it later. Good job.
All right, so for technology, we had a technology committee meeting on May 10th. Went over a lot of stuff, went over the device wireless network here at the school, the one-to-one with no bring your own devices. Talked about staff training with Skyward and Google Classroom. Talked about new staff laptops. They're about 50 to 75% complete on all that. Emailed teachers to make appointments so they can get this stuff done before the school year starts. Talked about an end of school year device turn-in, what they want to do there. They also talked about some tech recycling, mainly the unused UPSs that we have. And they're preparing for the summer E-rate project. So with the E-rate for 2022, the firewall is all done, the fiber runs are done, the access point runs are done, internal and external access points, they're all done. So for the 22-23 school year, external access points are done. For APCs, they're still waiting on an order. Security cameras are done in Snyder. There's a couple of them on hold in the high school, some new ones they wanted to add. The web content filter in Snyder and the high school are all done. And they've got some classroom management software, getting rid of some old versions and updating with some new Lightspeed classroom versions. They're still waiting on one external access point, which was supposed to go on the school building to cover the home bleachers. So we're still waiting for that. That's all from technology. Any questions? So with that, we'll move on to elementary school principals report. Mrs. Brown.
Just a reminder to parents to please have your materials if you haven't picked them up by June 24th. We'd like to get those put away. So anything, if you weren't there the last couple days of school, please call to make arrangements or just stop by the office. You'll have to bear with us. We're doing some sprucing up at Snyder, both inside and out. So some of the parking lots may be closed due to sealing and repaving of the lines. So if you have difficulty at the top and see some cones, come down to the bottom and vice versa. We'll even bring that down to you at the lower lot so you don't have to get out of your car and move again. We'll work with you as best as we can on that. So basically all that I have, it's getting clean both inside and out. So it's looking good.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Brown.
You're welcome.
Mr. Hendrick.
Yeah, with the school year wrapped up, Mr. Bunker's crews jumped right in and started cleaning, as you can see when you're in the halls out there, hard at work. Rec program started today, along with the summer meal program. There are about 50 kids signed up for the rec program so far. Mr. All did tell me today that families can still sign up for the program and just come to Rec and he'll help sign them up. Athletic signups are open through Family ID, and we encourage any student athlete who's interested in playing a sport for the upcoming school year to sign up now, even if it's not a fall sport. And if anybody needs any help with Family ID, they can call the main office for some assistance. And summer school/credit recovery will run through the month of July, and parents can still sign students up through the guidance office. That's it for me tonight.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hendrick. Dr. Teachin.
Yes. Extended school year services will start next Monday, June 27th. They will run through July 28th. So eligible students and their families have already been contacted. They received their schedule, so they should be all set to start on Monday. We did receive the homeless child and youth grant in the amount of $8,000. That grant will provide additional supports to families who are experiencing homelessness within our district. The 21st century program will have a summer component again this year. So that program will start on July 5th and then conclude on July 28th. It will run Monday through Thursday from 8:30 to 1:30. Lunch and transportation will both be provided. Interested families should contact the Zimmer at the business level. So we do have a few additional spots if we have some interested students.
Thank you very much, Dr. Teachin. Mrs. Waite, sorry. White, Wade.
So for some final curriculum reviews and purchases for next school year, probably the most important one is, sorry about this, Mr. Trump, Vencimos for Spanish. Just making sure I'm saying it right. Mr. Garino and I worked together to find a text that he felt comfortable he could build into our curriculum for. It's something that he will be able to use for level 1 if level 2 comes along as well. He already has a whole bunch of ideas floating around his head, other things he can pull in to enhance the learning for the students as Spanish is reintroduced. Suite 360 is the Restorative Practice Behavioral Intervention Program. That will be used by our high school assistant principal and the school counselor for 2 different purposes. Hopefully as a way to enhance some of the approaches to helping kids modify their behaviors rather than just dealing with the consequences, how they change behaviors rather than just expecting them to deal with repercussions. And then last but not least for the elementary school, they're thanks to our very friendly people at Valley Energy who have gifted us some money to use towards STEM materials. We'll be purchasing 2 3D printers for the elementary school. Our librarian, Crystal Leonard, is already on board. She's done her own professional development and is really engaged in the idea of bringing that and offering that to our elementary students. So that will be something that we will hopefully hear more about next school year.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Mrs. Ely.
So since the school year has concluded, we have all of our end of the year scores that have been included at Insight. So I thought I'd just highlight a few. The VAS scores, which is the benchmark assessment system, those are the reading level scores that we're using K through 8. Those have all been input, and so kind of to give you an overview, in grades 1 through 8, at the beginning of the year, we had 56% of our students were meeting the benchmark. At the end of the year, we're up to 65% of the students meeting the benchmark for grades 1 through 8. So that's good progress, but keep in mind the benchmarks do change as the school year progresses, so it's not the same benchmark beginning, middle, and end. So in each grade level, students need to grow at least, some grades are more, but at least 3 levels during that 9 months of school. Some other measures that we looked at and had a lot of success with were our high frequency words. So in kindergarten, students are expected to know 25 high frequency words by the end of the year, and we had 87% of our kiddos meeting that benchmark. In first grade, it's 50 words. We were at 67% of the kids meeting that benchmark. And in second grade, it's 100 words, and they ended with 79% of the kids meeting that benchmark. So that's good.
conversation in those meetings in PLCs really paid off, and they took it back to the pods and shared that information as well. I know the 5th and 6th grade teachers also had lots of conversations too this year, so I think that spark in the conversation helped to assist with some of those growth measures that we saw.
It's definitely good news. Kudos to all the staff, professional teachers that push those kids. That's why we're here. Right. When all said is done, that's why we're here. Very, very good. Thank you so much. All right, NTCC, Mr. Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Petrini. Starting next year, the 22-23 school year, the enrollment numbers right now are at 489 students. That's the largest it's been since I've been down there, and I think I'm on my 5th year down there. So that's quite a good number. And 41 students from SARE will be attending. Again, that's tentative numbers. You know, they can change one way or the other. So, but again, that's a large number for our school district. And glad to see that because, like I said, the Career Center is very vital, especially for learning different skills and stuff. And I'm glad to see that. Also, next year they'll be starting their child development courses down there. We'll be doing some moving around, so the IT department will be moving over in the main building, and where the IT was, over where the nursing building, etc. was, is over where the child development will be. So that's going to be a big plus for the center down there. I want to make mention too, we did have some outstanding juniors and upcoming seniors from SARE that did get outstanding awards from the Career Center. In the building and construction, Brayden McClinko and Cole Jalutis, both of those young men they received an outstanding junior for the PM program for building and construction. Golden Hammer went to Cole Jalutis, so I hope I pronounced Cole's name correctly. Then in machine technology, we had another outstanding junior in that class, Timothy Booth. Congratulations to him. And in welding technology, Glenn Romberger. He received an outstanding award as a junior there. And other than that, federal grant monies from Perkins Grants shrank a little bit on us. We were a little over $170,000 this past school year. This new school year coming up, we're down to about $163,000 and some change. And they go in for purchasing services and non-traditional marketing and dual enrollments and purchase of different supplies down there. So we did lose a little bit. And one of the things that they do want to focus on as far as marketing is concerned is for non-traditional students. Again, maybe there's a young lady that would like to take construction or welding where one of the guys, you pick a field where there's not a lot of guys in the field. They would like to focus a little bit on that as far as their marketing campaign is concerned. That's one of the big things that they were asking for this year to be used on the Perkins Grant. So, other than that, that's it from Northern Tier Career Center. And I know I'll be up for PSBA, that's right. And of course, we're in the home stretch for the state budget. Big focus, of course, is going to be on more funding for special education, the support for mental health needs of the students. PSBA is asking for $60 million. In that case, $200 million for special education. And of course, career and technical education, they're looking for a minimum of $25 million extra to happen there in the budget. So, and if anybody would like to, get a hold of our legislators and let them know that could use a little boost in public education. Just want to keep everybody reminded that PSBA, the PASPA School Leadership Conference, October 31st through November the 1st. And also, school director training I want to make mention of that. You're halfway through the year. If you haven't done your school director training, maybe summer is a good time to do that when you feel like you don't have anything else to do. So, other than that, Mr. Quattrini, we're all set.
All right, Mr. Cole, thank you very much. Last, Mrs. Agnew.
Just a couple of things. The ESY extended school year started today, actually, June 20th. They have, their technology division is adding additional layers of cybersecurity to protect the organization from cyber attacks. Recent additions have included CrowdStrike XDR, extended detection and response for enhanced threat protection and detailed response capabilities. Additional layers of intrusion protection and prevention utilizing CISA's Albert sensor as well as CISA's MDNS protection for malicious domain blocking capabilities have been added. The IU has expanded organizational use of multi-factor authentication, protecting all administrative access using Cisco's DUO. I guess there's been a lot of cyber attacks, getting worse and worse. Pretty much that's it. I know they had made the comment about us, Sarah is one of them, is having a classroom at Snyder this coming school year, so they're excited about that, so that's great to have. Otherwise, that's it.
Thank you very much. Anything from Saturday Creek?
No, other than it's been used quite a bit with the nice weather. That's about it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Short and sweet. So I don't know if everybody got a chance to see it, got an email from Katie Galinsky from the Nutrition Group. Let everybody know, this year, they served 72,007 breakfasts here at Sayre and 109,881 lunches. That's an awful lot of meals there. So they do it with a smile on their face, and then attached to that was a big thank you letter from Jessica Anzalone and Nancy Cole, the managing director and president of the Nutrition Group, thanking us for all of their support. So they did an awesome job, as they always do. So, just wanted to share that with the board. Go ahead, Dr. Pelosi.
I'll second that. I had that on my list because I had gotten that email as well, and I was going to add that that happens because of their leader, of Alice Bennett, who's with us this evening. So thank you and her team. You do an outstanding job. So we appreciate you. Yes. So I'd also like to add that the Sayre Area School District Foundation is having an annual event on June 29th at the Elks. If you're interested in attending, tickets are $40, and members of the team have them for sale. And sitting here tonight, I know Mrs. Agnew, Mrs. Riley, and Mr. Hickey probably have tickets for sale, as well as myself. And you can stop in and see Tammy in the office if you're interested in attending. And the other thing is the IU. They had worked with a team of people to write a grant this spring, and we received that grant for geocaching. And so our students in 21st Century under Dr. Dejan will be able to enjoy that this summer in July and take a trip to Mount Pisgah and do some geocaching. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. And they have one date set and a rain date set just in case it rains that day at Mount Pisgah. So I appreciate the IU reaching to Sayre and asking us to partner with them. So lucky district to have them. There you go. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have anything else?
Wondering, have you heard anything about the status of someone offered a donation to mow the Saturday Creek?
Actually, just Mr. Madigan and I were having that conversation today, so I had followed up with Mr. Claypool, and he is out today, but he was the one doing the follow-up, so I don't have anything for you right now, but when he gets back on Wednesday, I'll ask him, and then I'll follow up with the board in an email. Okay.
For adjournment.
Ms. Severdini, go
I
ahead.
can ask after.
And Mr. Feld, thank you for your dedication and persistence. Mr. Alt, appreciate it. Mr. Trump, anything?